My name is Helena Leathers, and I would love to leave a testimonial for Mindy Johnson with Limitless You Coaching, whom I had the pleasure of going through a complete breakthrough session with the objective of eliminating any kind of negative emotions or past experiences that we do not realize have caused issues for us in our lives, or in our mindset or in our lens of or how we're perceiving the world around us. So for me, I thought it was very unusual as a circumstance, as I've been working with coaches for some time and not really found anybody that's been able to really help me, as I knew intellectually what to do, but there was something inside me that didn't want to do it. So I didn't want to do it. It wasn't going to happen. I guess I'm a pretty stubborn person. So I was kind of in this position where I was unable to prioritize properly, and having a lot of challenges in making sure that I can complete the required tasks when they need to be done, sticking to a timeline or things like that. They were just making me feel really terrible. So that's why I originally reached out to Mindy, who then suggested that we do a complete breakthrough session. So that started with an ELI assessment, which I actually went on to, the entire experience I referenced at my workplace, because we have a service that we've started. We're in wealth management. We've just had this service that I helped start last year called Inspired Living, which is about holistic wealth management. So it's saying that there is more to life than just the balance sheet. There is more to life than just crunching the numbers, and actually you need to orient your resources towards what really gives you fulfillment and makes you happy. So considering this, the premise as I understood it, that we went through, was very interesting and not what I expected, but I just kept an open mind. And I was in a really terrible space, honestly, because my husband, to be frank, had just cheated on me. And so I just relocated to Austin, Texas, beautiful place, worth every stressful event. But logistically, I guess I'm very, very capable. And it's been actually pretty streamlined for the most part, but I'm really glad that Mindy has been there. So I was kind of going through that as we started this process. So it actually was fabulous timing. I almost wish it hadn't have happened like that, and obviously that wasn't the plan, because I think that I would have been able to really explore myself. But at the same time, having that pain and having those challenges and acknowledging where you've come from and acknowledging what you can change within yourself ends up being something that actually is required for navigating uncertainty and being resilient in your everyday life. And as life gets increasingly harder, that skill and being able to manage your own difficult feelings and understand why things are occurring, but not in a way that is intense or overwhelming necessarily. It's all very subconscious. So I appreciated that, because I've had a terrible experience. I really didn't want to relive it, but I did want to acknowledge the lessons learned. So we completed the ELI assessment, the Energy Leadership Index, and that was interesting because it showed me where I was able to perform energetically and where I was putting my efforts in. So it made a lot of sense. I felt like it made a lot of sense, but it's very hard to describe the assessment actually, and there's not really much information online. You have to kind of go through it to get your report. However, it was a great starting point for me, because it really showed me a tangible way of understanding my own energy levels, which seemed to be chaotic and unpredictable at best beforehand, and creating a strategy to overcome what I felt like I needed to overcome in terms of that. So really trying to move myself into a calmer state, into a state of flow rather than stress and panic, and trying to take a step back and determine what I want. So that's really what this was all about. And after we'd done the ELI, we then went on to the timeline therapy, which was long, honestly. But it was like the process of going through that is what makes your brain feel like it's like kind of done analyzing it now. It's kind of over it a little bit. Like, it's not as exciting because you've had to go back, you've had to think really hard about it, you've had to rely a lot on your subconscious, which is exhausting. And we have so many different traumatic things that have happened to us that we may not even realize, or negative ways of being or speaking or thinking that are just creating these weird cycles. So Mindy actually had identified these themes or key challenges for me that we had to plot on this visual, this subconscious timeline. From journaling, from our discussions, from my challenges of recent, from my background, from things that I'm going through now and wondering about why it is how it is, and not really knowing where to start in solving the issue. So that was really helpful and validating for me to really hear those things spoken back at me, because it seems like there's so many factors that can be considered in all times, I feel like, and it can be difficult to trust yourself, especially once you've been cheated on. So we went through our timeline therapy, and that was just very intense. And there was this one pivotal moment where I was trying to just really speak from my subconscious, but it was all energy work. So it was about how I felt about things. And as we went through past experiences and discussed the lessons learned from those difficult times in my lifetime and in lifetimes before me, and then it was like my energy started to change. And we had this great experience because I have 3 rats, 3 lovely old lady rats who are given the life of luxury over here. But but there's this one rat called Sweet Pea who's very, very, very skittish. She doesn't really like people. She'll like avoid them and run away, and like doesn't like loud noises or anything. And she never has come over to me whilst I'm at this desk or whilst I'm in a meeting or anything. That's never happened, ever. She's literally gone. I don't really know where she is. Like, I don't know what she's up to, which is a bit concerning. But in the middle of this session, out of nowhere, Sweet Pea comes over and just crawls into my hand and just sits on my lap, and I'm just stroking her as I'm going through this, and it was just incredible, actually, because she's done it since, but not anything like that. And now I recognize how like our pets can really reflect how we're feeling as well. So she's almost like helping me there to keep my self-awareness in terms of my energetic resonance. I don't know. So this is Sweet Pea, the rat that came and said hi. She's just woken up, so she's not super happy. But no, yeah, so she's all over the place all the time. She's always having a great time, and she just kind of came and sat in my hand like this. Not, yeah. Kind of. She was calm back then, but I guess I don't have those same energetic vibes anymore. Wait. Yeah, the whole breakthrough process took about 6 hours. I had support between the sessions as well, and it was great having somebody just to kind of flesh everything out with and talk about everything in a very frank way, just like, yeah, this is some trauma I've got. And having somebody kind of call you out for weird ways of thinking or toxic ways of thinking or patterns of thinking, or a big one for me was fear-based thinking. Honestly, like just thinking I'm looking after myself and my own safety, but actually I'm debilitating myself and not wanting to go out, and just like feeling paranoid about terrible things happening out of nowhere for no reason. And so it's been very freeing for me, and I've been able to give myself permission to try things that I haven't felt I've been able to try before, and be more adventurous and not have the voices of my parents. And their parents before them in my ear every time. But yes, I would highly recommend Mindy's services in general, but for me, I thought I was coming into like a professional coaching environment where I thought I needed to improve my productivity, and actually needed to start way back in step one. And it's an investment, but I think it's worth it just to get that starting point at least. But I think many people do them over multiple times throughout their lives as things change. It's a real way when everything seems chaotic and mad. It's just a real way of tangibly viewing your life and seeing what you want to achieve and where you want to go, and also honoring where you've been and the lessons you've learned. So yeah, that's my testimonial for Mindy Johnson at Limitless You Coaching, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Oh, sorry. You're so cute, right? No.